Two dads, one toy, no prisoners. Hello, Batmites. We are here to bring to you the Bat Minute Christmas special for 2021.
Woo!
Woo! It's Christmas.
And of course, people expecting the usual cavalcade of special guests and musical numbers, and all the trimmings are coming out as per usual with this. Oh wait, no, it's just us this year.
It's just us. Hey, you know what? It's been a weird year. And, you know, I've had so much going on as of recording. I've had to move house and all kinds of stuff. So I actually thought not only did it suit up with my schedule better, but I don't know, it felt kind of nice just to bring it down a notch this
Kick
year.
it back to formula, back to the old school Bat Minute. Although if you're listening to any of our Patreon content, normal, like it's just normal over there where it's just the two of us, but...
Yeah, but a lot of our listeners aren't used to it now, you know, so it's quite interesting for them.
We're going to do a real guilt trip. And a lot of our listeners aren't on the Patreon, aren't you?
Well, they're not, but, you know, times is hard. I understand. You know, no shame. I'm not on a lot of people's Patreons that I want to be as well. So I get it. But this is Christmas, so we are giving this to you for free.
Yeah.
It's a present.
Woo!
Whoop. And as the tagline I read, the quite terrible tagline, we are talking about a movie connected to the movie we are covering minute by minute at the moment, in a way. It is Arnold Schwarzenegger's Jingle All the Way.
It's a true holiday classic by default.
It's weirdly become like a classic, hasn't it? Because when it came out, I don't remember anyone caring about this movie, but over time it seems to have built a following, including with myself.
Oh, I remember it coming out and being like a hit with the kids, but it was one of those ones where like all the reviews were terrible, and it was like, why would anyone ever watch this thing? And it's just because, like, even now I don't particularly like the film, but it is like, well, it is on every year. And it's like, yeah, it's become a classic by default because it's like, well, everyone knows Jingle All the Way. Like, it's on Christmas. It's, you know, you can guarantee, even if you don't have, like, you know, cable, I guess they'll call it in America, like terrestrial television. It's like, oh yeah, they've only got a couple of movies they can play. They don't have access to that Hallmark, you know, Santa's gift sack thing. So it's like, yeah, they just Jingle All the Way will come into heavy rotation. You'll see it at least 5 times on within the space of 3 weeks.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I've always thought, oh yeah, this movie's great. It's really fun. But I said to you off mic, looking at it with a little bit of a critical eye for this, not too serious. It's Christmas after all. Yeah, I realised it's not fantastic.
No,
but you know, there's a lot to like in it. I think it's the execution, maybe.
I really feel like, and I don't want to insult our beloved governor, Arnie. I do wonder if this was written as a much more biting satire, and they rewrote it because it was an Arnie vehicle, and they toned it way down. Because there's hints in there of a much like harsher, more critical movie. That then descends into all this flying around in jetpacks at the end and stuff, and it becomes a goofy, it's lighthearted family fun with no, I guess there's kind of a message, but not really, because it's still kind of pro-consumerism, but it's also like...
No, well, you know, spoiler alert, the kid gives the toy up.
Yeah, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But he gives it to the other guy who life was ruined because his dad didn't give him a toy. And he's like, oh, your kid can have the toy. And it's like, well, still kind of like, we'll get to like potentially better endings, I guess, when we get to talking about the end. But like, I still felt at the end it was like, it didn't have the much of an anti-consumerist bent as I thought it was going to. It still kind of felt like, well, the kid's still rich, and you know, I'm sure he gets plenty of other good presents and stuff too. It was like, it's yeah, and it was just more like, oh, so you know, this prized possession, it does go to someone who wants it. It wasn't just like taken out of the equation altogether, as it probably should have been. It's been like, this toy shouldn't matter to anyone. That should be the point of the movie. But
it's Turbo Man.
It is Turbo Man. It's Turbo time.
I love the way, they've cast a guy who can barely say the word turbo. Turbo.
I do love as well that he has like the way he keeps saying the catchphrase because it's such a lame dad thing to do. He's like, I only heard this thing 2 minutes ago, but it's turbo time. I know Turbo Man.
Because he knows, well, my kid will like that if I just say it. Yes.
But this one says like, I was like, I remember my dad coming out with this like random catchphrases he would have heard. Like, the turtles say that, right? It's like,
they don't understand the context or anything.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah.
You don't get the turtles, man. You weren't there.
You're not down with the turtles.
but it's the things like I also will say I don't hate the movie. I just don't think it's very good. But there are good parts in it.
The casting, for instance. Great. Well, I say this, right? We're going to get to it as well, but I like all the casting except I don't like our villain here.
Oh, Sinbad.
I don't like Sinbad.
Oh.
And Sinbad was never really a thing over here.
No.
Like he was in America.
He is mostly known for this. That's kind of his the guy from Jingle All the Way.
And I don't like him. I think he makes it more cartoony than it needs to be. He goes like another level. Like Arnold's having fun, but he's being Arnold, whereas Sinbad is just like, it's almost like he's making fun of the movie.
Arnie is also like, here's a take, okay? I thought of this midway through watching it, and I was like, I wonder if that would have worked more. Because the movie is very much harnessed on being like, it's an Arnie movie. That's what's sold on. That's why I believe it might have been like a much more harsher, critical, satirical script. And then Arnie came on board, and they're like, "Oh, you have to tone this way down because it's
but I am here for Arnold. That's the reason I'm watching it."
And I get that too. I was like, "Oh yeah, Arnie. He's arguably miscast because he's supposed to be like, oh, he's like an everyman." And it's like, like this man he's barely human. Like look at him.
This monstrous Austrian dude.
Yeah, just like, everything about him.
Everyday dad.
He sticks out like a sore thumb in that neighborhood. But midway through, I was wondering. Like, what role I would have loved to see Arnie play in this would be the Phil Hartman role.
Oh, that would have been interesting.
Yeah, like, what if they swapped it around? It was Phil Hartman was the Arnie part, and Arnie was the villain.
But Arnie's too likable.
I don't know, because I think it would have been very much like... Because in this movie, like, we're kind of going all over the place here, but, like, it posits that, like, Phil Hartman is, like, a ladies' man around the neighborhood. Like, all the wives love him. And there's nothing to him, and I guess that's maybe partially the joke. But I having watched, like Pumping Iron, where Arnie was like a sleazy, like it's a documentary, but he's kind of playing up the idea of Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh yeah, he wants to almost create a character, doesn't he?
Yeah,
like, he knows. Oh, the cameras are rolling,
and he's like, he's psyching out Lou Ferrigno in it by like. Lounging around his sister with an Arnie's #1 t-shirt, eating chicken, and just been like, I could totally imagine that Arnie been like all the women in the neighborhood are enamored with him because he's this muscular Superman and he can do everything and he's so handsome and he's so exotic. And then if he was in your house eating cookies with your wife and then been like, me and Liz have been in the kitchen for hours, like you would be like, what the get the hell away. And Phil Hartman's great, but it's just like I can imagine it being more like relatable almost had it been Phil Hartman is like the normal schlub. And then it's like, he can't compete with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You would feel it more there. And I think Arnie would have been great as the whole figure. But at this point in his career, it would have been like, he's the #1 character. Like,
he wants to be the lead, the hero.
Yeah. And apparently also they must have cast around him too, because I was reading on the IMDb. Apparently Joe Pesci was like heavily considered for Sinbad's role.
Way better.
Yeah, but he was then thought to be too small. It's too small.
But isn't that the joke? Like, that'd be funny.
I think they were just like, he's too small next to Arnie. And it's like, well, Danny DeVito's smaller than Joe Pesci. But maybe they thought like, people will think we're just kind of riffing on twins again or something.
But Joe Pesci's not that small.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look like that's what they're doing.
I would have liked that though, because this was apparently produced by Chris Columbus, who of course made Home Alone, and you could almost say then maybe like Sinbad's character's name's like Mervyn, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, I could never quite get it. It's a name that we don't have here, whatever the hell he's saying. Is it Mervyn?
But you could have then always had the headcanon that this movie was a spiritual sequel to Home Alone. And this is Harry after he's got out of prison. And he's like, yeah, trying to get his life back on straight. But like, no, he's just working dead-end job at the post office. And like his kid hates him and all this kind of stuff. I was like, I would have liked to have seen that. But
that would have been amazing. You could have just said it's the same character.
Although it's weird too, like in the making of the details that I've managed to see, they're always talking about like, oh yeah, the Sinbad as the villain, and I don't know if it's just like times have changed, but I'm kind of very sympathetic to Sinbad in this.
What?
More so than Arnie, because it's like,
yeah, okay. I mean, Arnold he really is a bad dad.
Yes,
like he's screwing his family around left and right, but Sinbad. I mean, the kernel, like the core of his story is sympathetic, but he's so unhinged. You don't care anymore.
That's because society drove him to this point, John. But no, in comparison to like, well-to-do, Arnie's just negligent. Like, he could have got Turbo Man weeks ago. But he kind of just was too wrapped up in his job and all this business. It's like you can be like, well, the job's to pay for things for the family and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but there's a balance to strike, isn't there?
Yeah, it feels more like he's like the guy's very, very, very comfortable. He's just working overtime for, I don't know if he's striving for a bonus. Like, it's not even got that air of desperation that, like, Steve Martin might have had in, like, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh, no, he's doing great.
Or, like, even our much beloved National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where... Chevy Chase is one of his partial things. Like, he's hoping for this Christmas bonus money. Like, he needs it. He's, he's, and then when he doesn't get it, it becomes a desperate situation. Arnie's more like, he's financially, solid. Like, this guy doesn't have to worry about anything. Sinbad, he's blue collar working man, and you can just imagine like he might have tried to get a Turbo Man, but he ain't got the time because he's probably working like 50 hours a week or something.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And everything about it is just like, he's getting beaten down by the system. And the reason, he is full-blown Arthur Fleck the Joker, where he's just like, I'm ready to snap, man. I can't take life in this city much more.
He needs help, really.
Yes. So that's like, from this then, I was kind of like, much like we've had with... the Batman and Robin season where like, well, Arnie's just trying to help his wife and Ivy's like, she's trying to help the environment. Like, well, they're not that villainous, I guess. I was watching this with a real like, Arnie, man, just, give your kid a bit more attention, would you? With Sinbad, I was more like, you poor man. Like, what? How did you get like this? What happened to you?
I hate both of them. but Arnold just has a presence where you like him, even though I suppose that's why he still has a wife. She likes him, even though she shouldn't.
Yeah. Of course, the Rita Wilson, Tom Hanks's real life wife.
Mm-hmm. She's great in this as well.
One of the first celebrities to get COVID, as I recall.
Oh, crap. I didn't realize.
I just remember that way back at the beginning of the whole thing. It was just like, this virus seems to be getting pretty bad, but it's not affecting anyone I know. And I was like, Tom Hanks has it. And the world was like, not Tom Hanks!
That's worse than someone you know getting it.
And then they were like, and Rita Wilson too. And I'm like, not Tom Hanks! I was like, his wife, who cares? But not Tom! Jesus Christ, no!
Oh, bless. No, she's really good in this movie. Again, we're going to get to it as we sort of break it down, but...
She does have a Maria Shriver-esque quality to her as well.
Totally. She's really interesting because she's a gentle, kind, loving character, but there's a strength to her. She's especially, again, when we get to it, where in her interactions towards the end with Phil Hartman. I feel for her, and then she's a strong figure.
It's like... I only say this because I'm getting ready for season 4 coming out because I've been rewatching Cobra Kai. And it's just that beginning of like, Daniel's got a wife, and she looks a little bit like the lady from Battlestar Galactica, but she's just the wife. And then by the end of season 3, you're like, she's like the best character. Like, she slowly goes from just being like, it's the wife character to being like, no, she's like a really, really well-rounded, accomplished character now.
I think that's what's happened with this, with my multiple viewings. I think when I was, a bit younger, I'm watching it, you don't really care about the wife. But now watching it, through this lens, I came out of it thinking she is a wonderful person. I want to marry her.
We make a sequel to Jingle All the Way focused on her, and it's about Arnie can't go out because he's self-isolating, but she's previously been infected with COVID, so she can go out and get the toys this time.
Hey,
and she doesn't have to worry.
It does hint at the end that there might be more.
Oh yeah, well, we should actually say that up front as well. That we're talking about an extended cut of Jingle All the Way that I didn't know until yesterday even existed.
No, me either. I had no clue, and I've seen this movie 30 times. No idea there was an extended cut.
Yeah.
It's not massively different, but the extra bits are fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed the kind of like, oh, that's weird and new. But yeah, I think this might have actually been like a post-credit scene originally, but but yeah, now they've moved it up to pre-credit, where it goes from the end of the parade, and then it's just like, oh, to be fair, it is actually quite funny, where it's just so overdone. Like, well, after all that effort you made to get that doll, what did you get for me? And the zoom in of Arnie, you're like, oh no,
not again.
But again, I was like, why are you so negligent to your family, man? It's like, it's one holiday of the year. You just have to make sure you get presents for people. How many people do you have to get presents for? You got 2 people to take care of.
He's a typical man. Picking up flowers at the petrol station.
Oh, totally. Yeah. We'll say my favorite shot of the whole movie, which was just it's geniusly done. It's when he's blagging to her. They're like, oh, I totally picked it up. Don't worry about it. And she's just like, oh, yeah, if you weren't to get that Turbo Man, there'd be real trouble. He's like, no, I got it. Don't worry about it. There's no problem. And she turns off the bedroom light, and it's just Arnie on the pillow. Yeah. Just turns the camera just like with this aghast face.
It's like something from The Simpsons or something.
But it's really like, oh, this is a perfect comedy moment. And
yeah, it is like a cartoon. I like that aspect. Should we sort of vaguely go through the plot? We don't want to break down every single movie for 10 hours, but
we'll go through them. So it starts off with we're at the Vasquez Rocks, of course, infamous. It's one of those things that I don't think they can even have it in like Star Trek anymore, except to go like, this is the Vasquez Rocks, because it's so iconic as a piece of scenery now.
Oh yeah, even I recognize it like in this, and I saw the original Star Trek after this.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that till I was in my 20s. And it's instantly recognizable.
It's like the Wilhelm scream now. When you see them, you're just like, it takes you out of it a bit. You're like, that's Vasquez Rocks. Yeah. But yeah, it's weird because we're getting like it's a little bit Power Rangers. And it's a little bit Iron Man, I guess.
And you know what I thought? You probably have this written down. It's very much both the show that he's watching and the toy itself, Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah.
Because remember the panic to get a Buzz Lightyear toy.
That's the way. On the IMDb, they weirdly say, like, because I'm in 100% agreement with you, like, oh, this seems to be exactly what it is. But they say, like, oh, it's based on the Cabbage Patch Kids craze.
Yeah, I don't buy it. Although there is a Cabbage Patch Kid in the parade later.
Yeah, well, actually, yeah. Oh, well, there you go. And then they said, like, ironically, it ended up echoing the Tickle Me Elmo craze of 1996. And I was like, Christmas of 95. I was there. Buzz Lightyear was the biggest goddamn thing, and he was basically Turbo Man. Like,
oh, yeah, he looks the same, he acts the same. They did a show. It was a cartoon, but they did a show.
Yeah, they got the Chris Evans doing them now in this new movie that's just about Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, yeah?
But it's like, it's not about the toy Buzz Lightyear, it's about the man Buzz Lightyear.
That the toy's based on.
Yeah, it is getting into a bit of a weird, like, this is kind of a meta-textual thing. Like, how are you going to explain this to kids? Like, this isn't the toy. This is, like, the kids, like, a child won't understand that. But
at the same time, will a kid care?
No, actually, that's fair enough. But
they're not interested. They just want to watch Buzz Lightyear fly around.
Well, but yeah, so one thing, because it goes in, oh yeah, it's kind of Power Rangers that was a mouthful to try to say that. But I kind of felt they could have done more, because they had like I kind of wish they had done, because Power Rangers, so much of the footage was like from a Japanese show that they redubbed.
Totally different.
And I feel like a more biting movie would have had like, oh, everyone's lips are completely out of sync with what they're saying because they're actually originally a foreign language, and they've just
that'd be amazing. And Turbo Man's just a Japanese guy.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. And then at the end, when Arnie takes off the helmet, Jamie would be like, "But you're not Japanese." Mom, are we Japanese?
Hey, he impersonates a Japanese man.
Oh, yeah.
A bit later.
Oh, man. Did not age well, Arnie.
No,
No, it was a natural squint. I wasn't going for Japanese. Like, no, man, we know exactly what you were doing.
At the same time, it's exactly like something my dad would have done.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But actually, should note for our purposes, because they had the villain there, Dementor. Great look, actually. Like, I was very fond of that. But that actor, that's Richard Mall, and he did the voice of Harvey Dent / Two-Face in the Batman animated series. So
everything's connected. Yes, Darth Maul playing Two-Face.
Darth Maul. Yes. That would be like a deep cut meme to make. You might get like 7 likes on it in total.
It'd be worth it. That you'd have really earned those 7 likes.
That's like one of my proudest meme moments was taking the poster for this and changing the title to Jingoism all the way. And it was Arnie at a podium with that exasperated face going like, I have a very aggressive foreign policy lined up. And I was so proud of it. And I think I got maybe 10 likes.
But think about how much those 10 meant.
It's one of those things that I always get infuriated because my Twitter is the Batminute Twitter. I don't have my own Twitter account. But I look at some of these memes that go viral, and I was like, I've done memes that are better than that, though. Like, why haven't I ever gone viral? Why isn't Jingoism all the way a Christmas classic meme by now?
No, I think you need to be sort of in certain circles who will share them for you.
I need to crack that inner circle, yeah, for sure. If I could get it to Arnie himself, if he would like it.
Well, me joking about Darth Maul a minute ago also brings us to the person watching the watching the show. Arnold's son in the movie is Jake Lloyd.
Yeah. Poor Jake Lloyd.
Yeah. I feel bad for him because I mean he's not amazing in this either.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's trying.
He is very much like. I think nowadays kid actors are getting much better as well.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You can actually watch them and not be like, oh, this kid. But he is at one of these points of like, oh man. I mean, he's not as annoying as some other kids of the 90s, but like, he ain't good though. Like he's just. And there's almost a kind of a knowing that his life did not go well post Phantom Menace. Like that little scene of him in the Sinbad uniform drinking the whiskey is kind of like, this is a bit too dark now.
It turns out it's the truth. Yeah.
It's like you could get him to dress up in that outfit. He's like, I've already got it at home. I don't need to dress up.
And it all happened to Jake Lloyd, because he didn't keep the Turbo Man toy. Nothing to do with Star Wars.
There's your sequel right there. Like I know there is a Jingle all the way too, but like they should be like a. If you can't get Jake Lloyd, Hayden Christensen comes in to play Arnie's kid.
Oh my God, yes.
And he is like, I gave away that Turbo Man doll. Why did I do that? My life's been gone down the shitter ever since. This is terrible.
That would be funny, yeah. He comes to the conclusion that that's where his life went off the rails, and he has to try and get it back. After all these years, he has to hunt it down.
Yeah, it'll be one of those ones where it's like, oh yeah, it goes on eBay now for thousands or something. Yeah. Even though you think the mass market saturation of Turbo Man presented in this movie would be like, oh, you can get them for a song. They're like,
well, and there's your crossover with Home Alone. Home Sweet Home Alone is him trying to steal the Turbo Man.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
That's a better film.
I think it could be like you could write something in where it's like, oh yeah, you can get loads of Turbo Man, but this one is infamous for that, like the end of the movie. Like, oh yeah, this guy broke into the parade and was flying around as Turbo Man, and another guy was like nearly killed a kid because he was, and then like that Turbo Man doll is worth thousands because it's like a piece of, cultural, infamy. Basically.
Oh, that's true, and they say it's a limited edition version. I think it's like a bit. It's got like a shinier chest and things, doesn't it?
I think that's the weird thing too, because it like Turbo Man looks a bit like the Flash, but he's also got Iron Man coloring, and he has got like he flies around like Iron Man and stuff. It's a bit weird later on when Arnie goes into Jamie's bedroom, and it's like saturated with Marvel stuff. Like he's got like a Fantastic Four bedspread and all this. It's like in this universe. Does Iron Man also exist? And people are like, Turbo Man is a total ripoff of Iron Man. Or is maybe like Stan Lee's like sweating buckets in that universe? He's like, oh, I totally swiped that Iron Man idea from this old Japanese TV show that was going on called Turbo Man.
Oh, that'd be amazing, yeah. I love it.
Yeah. I feel nowadays that you could. There's definitely because there was a Jingle All the Way too. Larry the Cable Guy.
I never even bothered watching it.
No. I was trying to in my head earlier amass the subgenre of Arnie sequels that don't star Arnie.
Oh, we could do a marathon of them.
Yeah. I was going to try to make that meme of like, oh yeah, Arnie movies that don't star Arnie. That's definitely one of my favorite genders. But I was trying to think of like, so you got Jingle All the Way 2, Predator 2, and all subsequent Predator movies, I guess, really. Then Terminator Salvation, kinda.
He's in it in a way. Sort of.
His likeness is in there, so it's kind of like he is there technically, though. And there was another one, too.
What's that one that was supposed to be Conan 3? Does that count? What was it?
There was Kull the Conqueror.
That's it.
Yeah.
It was. They just reworked the script for Conan 3, didn't they? Yeah. Does that count?
I'll say that. But for the purposes of the meme, we can make it count. But I think there's another one that was a flat out like Arnie just didn't come back for the next one. It's not like Commando. I guess you could always say, well, Die Hard was supposed to be Commando too, and stuff like that.
Well, yeah. Now we're going down a slippery slope, aren't we?
Yeah. Then if it loses all integrity if you're just going to like, well, you can say that about any goddamn movie now. It could have been a Commando sequel.
I bet you there's loads more. Listeners, if you can think of any, write in.
There's a Hercules in New York sequel, Hercules in San Diego, and it stars Lou Ferrigno.
Oh my God, yes. You could do a whole franchise of those. Hercules Goes to Tokyo.
But it is weird though. It's like of all, because you think Commando would have a sequel.
Yeah.
Or like True Lies would have a sequel, but Jingle All the Way was the one to get it.
Well, it's an easy one to make, isn't it? It's just a Christmas movie. It takes you an afternoon to make, I guess.
But yeah, my original point was that you could make a sequel now and have it commenting on like the Marvel craze, where they're like, oh, they've rebooted Turbo Man again, or something like that, and Arnie's really like, you either come in where he's just like, I'm so sick of this Turbo Man. Or you could be like, he's like the world-leading Turbo Man expert or something, because he's got so into the character since this old debacle or something. But,
oh my God, that'd be great. I'd love that.
I feel there is a satire to be had here, but this movie's too toothless with it, I feel.
There's some funny things there, like at the beginning here, you know, Arnie's running late. He needs to get home. His kid's got a karate like exhibition. They just keep calling it a karate class, but it's not the class. It's to get his new belt.
Yeah, it is. It is showcasing that weird period post Karate Kid, where like kids were really into karate.
Yeah. Although in England it was very specifically Taekwondo for some reason.
Over here it was karate classes again, but yeah.
I don't know why Taekwondo made its way here. I'm going to blame Miami Connection.
Well, of course, that was a much bigger hit than the Karate Kid.
Yeah, it was huge with the kids. You know, really went down
well. If we ever did Miami Connection Minute, we could just maintain that the entire time. It was like, no, this was like the biggest movie of like 1987 when this came out. Like,
yeah, in England at least. I don't know about in America, but so yeah, Arnie's running late. I absolutely adore this bit at the start. You start off with a fantastic gag, I think. It's when he's on the phone. Everybody he talks to, you're my number one customer. Even his wife.
Yeah.
The wife rings him to, make sure you... And then when he's hanging up, you're my number one customer.
Yeah.
But what makes me laugh is that she gets so offended. Whereas if I was him, I'd play it as a gag. I'd be like, oh, I'm just joking with you because you're calling me at work. You know?
He's not that slick, though, this Arnie. Oh, he has that one bit of slickness later where he picks up the toy police badge and he gets away with it. But that's like after years, like after a whole movie of like, dude, man, you are really fucking this up, okay?
Oh, and then we meet Phil Hartman pretty quickly after that, don't we? And as you say, he's kind of portrayed as a ladies' man. All these women in the neighborhood are coming to him for help with things, and he's got just the tool for the job. A very dirty joke.
He's also, it's almost as if he's got like a poison ivy pheromone thing going on, because there's nothing to like about it. And you also find out too that he's divorced, and he seems like he's very, like, his whole thing is a facade.
Oh, it's a facade, so he can... Well, here's the big question I was going to bring up later, but let's ask it now. Is he sleeping with all these women?
I took it to be that they all wish that he would sleep with them, but he's only got eyes for Rita Wilson.
That's what I was unsure on. Like, is he playing the field? He just goes around from one to the next, or does he kind of have to fend them off? But he's offering to help them, which, with his facade, is clearly to get in their pants. So I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he just might like the flirtation.
Yeah.
You might like the power of like them, like, oh, they're throwing themselves at me, but there's only one woman for me, and it's Liz. But he is. There's that one bit where he loses the temper with the kids.
Oh, and he lets slip there. That's his true face.
Yeah, and there's at one point his son's just like, oh, he's only been like this since the divorce. Like it does make him a very snivelingly sleazy character. Like,
it's calculated. It's like, okay, my wife's left me. I need, I want to get some action. What do I do? Oh, okay. I can play it like this.
It's imagine having to live your life that way, where your interactions with the neighbors is just I just want to hook up with my neighbor's wife, and I kind of want to. He knows that's what I'm doing too, and I'm kind of torturing him with it like a lot of the time.
Arnie doesn't pretend he doesn't know. He's quite upfront. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. He leads to the classic, put that cookie down.
Who said you could touch my cookies?
But yeah, and then Phil Hartman like, oh, there's cookies. It's like, you know what you're doing. And he knows that you know that he knows what you're doing.
Oh, I do love that bit.
I will say, I don't like this movie particularly. You're my favorite customer. That's a good joke. Put that cookie down. Classic moment. I won't deny the classic moments that are in the film.
There's some great bits. When Arnie's rushing as well to get to the exhibition thing, I love it. The cop pulls him over, and he's like, "Oh, say the alphabet backwards to prove that you're not, like drunk driving or something." I don't think I could do that sober.
And nowadays too, that would almost be taken as like a hate crime.
Yeah,
because he's clearly a foreigner. And it's like, oh, you can do it. Like, oh, anyone can do the alphabet, but only an American could say the alphabet backwards.
In the world of the movie, is he a foreigner?
Well, that's the thing, too. There's a lot of things like you have to wonder, because they do acknowledge at one point that the guy is ripped.
Yeah.
He has Phil Hartman does have the other great line of, you can't bench press your way out of this one.
Oh, yeah, that's another bit where he lets slip his true face, because that to me indicates, oh, you always hated this guy.
Like, this is his true face, but few can see it. The gifted and the damned.
Arnold is damned in this.
But so they're at least going like, oh, so we have to acknowledge the fact that this guy, I can imagine even in the script, because it probably was written for someone like Steve Martin or something.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh, yeah, but now Phil Hartman was like, I can't not acknowledge that the guy is a mountain. So, but yeah, beyond that too, you kind of like, this guy is, what's his full name? It's like Howard Langston.
That doesn't sound Austrian.
That is not an Austrian man. Howard Langston.
You could get away with Howard if his surname was like, I don't know, what's a good Austrian surname? I was thinking Klein, but is that German?
The only way this works to me is if his father was a German war criminal who fled to the U.S.
Well, there you go.
Was like, yes, we are the Langstons. This is my baby boy. He's about to call him like Udo or something.
That would be amazing.
Howard.
I'm on board with this, totally. Well, I've looked up the most common Austrian surnames. Number 1, Gruber.
Ooh, there's a good Christmassy name as well.
Yeah, Gruber. Number 2, Huber.
I'm beginning to see a pattern here.
Yeah. Number 3, Bauer.
Oh, wow. Jack Bauer.
Number 4.
I didn't realize he was Austrian.
Number 4, Wagner.
Now I'm kind of wondering if Jack Bauer was written for Arnold Schwarzenegger and they got stuck with Kiefer Sutherland. Like, oh, God damn it.
Oh, my God. That'd be amazing.
I actually say, too, maybe 6 years later, they would have got Arnie, because that would have been when the star had really faded. And it's like, I'm not above doing TV now, but like in 2001, when 24 started, he's still like, I'm still a star. Like, I'm still a big deal. Like, you're not Arnie, but you can't see it yet. Like, you're in the kind of collateral damage years of like, it's gone. It's gone,
but I'm still on board. I'm with you, Arnold.
I have actually, another reality, there is a world where Arnie does 24, and he's still like the biggest star in the world now, because he's just like, well, everyone loved that 24 show he did. It lasted for like 9 seasons or whatever. And it was the biggest hit in TV because it starred Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was also a pretty good show.
That would have been the best thing ever. Number 5, I suppose I should go to 5, is Muller. There is no Langston, but number 28 on the list of surnames is Lang.
It is Schwarzenegger in there at all?
It's definitely not. Let's have a look. There's not a chance. No, Schwarz is number 19 for Austria.
Well, we do know from the main show that like Arnie's kind of a bumpkin, basically. So it will be like Cletus being in the top 50 names, maybe.
Arnie the slack-jawed yokel.
I could call my mother from up here. Hey, Ma! Get off the damn roof!
I wonder if in the Austrian dub of The Simpsons, then, he sounds like Arnold. Cletus.
That's something we should look up, actually. That'd be a relevant point to bring up in Batman now, because we get to talk about Arnie.
Oh, I would love that.
I think now it's in recording. We're coming to the end of Batman. I was like, there's so much more Arnie content we gotta talk about. We gotta go in deep into Arnie now.
Between seasons, we can do loads of Arnie specials. We're gonna have a bit of a longer break between seasons, so it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I know Mogwai Minute kind of did it, but like, they didn't. But they didn't do all those movies. So
and that was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
It was a few years.
We can go into the Tales from the Crypt episode he was in and stuff.
Well, so Arnie misses the karate class, and he arrives home.
But before that, though, we should establish he does run afoul of this very old-looking cop.
Oh yeah, hang on. We need to talk about the cop because that's a recurring thing.
And
he does look old, but maybe he's like, he's one of the bosses, so he just hits the streets every now and then. It's Christmas; they need some extra hands.
I don't know. Well, his hands they don't fare so well later on. But
yeah, he's gonna need some extra hands.
Yeah, it's Robert Conrad. You call this guy, but yeah, it just struck me. He looks like Marty Crane or something. Like he's so old. Like, why is this guy? Apparently, he also died last year as well. So,
no, that's a shame. I didn't realize
his big, and his known for in IMDb, he's known for Baba Black Sheep, some movie, I guess about World War II, and he was in the reboot of Nash Bridges. So,
okay, I'm on board for that.
But well, not the reboot. No, I thought it said 2020. No, he was just in the original Nash Bridges.
Oh, the OG.
Yeah, shortly before retirement because he's so old.
Oh, I'm so old. He's pulling people over in this. He should pull Arnold over and just be like, "What are you up to?"
He should be the new Alfred.
Yeah, why not? CGI.
And Mr. Freeze bumps into him like, "Oh, you again." I'm not a big fan of the recurring cop, to be honest with you.
No, it's not one of the best bits. It's kind of funny, and then, like a lot of things in this, it goes a bit too far.
It's also too because you're supposed to be like, and we're in an age of ACAB, but it kind of posits this cop as being the bad guy. But everything Arnie does is like, no, you should nick him for this. Like,
yeah, Arnold he's breaking the law. It appears like he's attacking the police.
Yeah. Like the first thing he does is, cause I think he goes into, I'm not a driver, so I assume this is like he goes into a forbidden lane.
It looks like is that the lane you pull over into in emergencies and stuff?
It's like the hard shoulder or whatever.
That's what we call it here, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And it seems to be like, he just decides to screw everybody else, I'm going to drive. And that's a blatantly illegal move. Cop, like perfectly legally, just like, all right, you're booked. You're going to ticket for that. And then like later on when he wrecks his bike, it's like, no, you deserve a ticket for that as well. Like, and then he breaks it, like, like it seems as if he's like, crazed within that radio station later on and stuff too. It's just like, no, this is all stuff that, the police are there to deal with. Like,
yeah.
But it's the vibe that the cop is supposed to be the bad guy. And it's like, this one, if it was the T-1000 again, I would get it. But this guy is just doing his job. Like, he's a bit of a dick.
I'm just trying to make my son's karate class.
But we all have a karate class to get to. In that traffic jam, nobody wants to be there. But if you were less negligent, Arnie, and if you had paid attention and got out of work in time, like you were supposed to, then maybe you wouldn't be in this position.
And maybe he wouldn't arrive home to find Phil Hartman, installing Christmas lights for him.
That did irk me.
That irked me. Think of the cost. I don't mean of the lights because they're free. The electricity.
But it is the audacity.
Yeah.
Like, it's my house. Stick your own goddamn house. Like, it's so. And like, it was one time we had a friend staying over, and she took it upon herself to like properly spit shine clean the kitchen.
Oh no, see that's weird. I know she's trying to do a nice thing, but no.
Yeah, and then because I was going out to work, and I was like, okay, so I need to make my lunch, and I was just sort of like, I was in a rush, and then she was giving it out to me. I was like, I just cleaned this place, and you got crumbs all over the counter now. It's like, it's my kitchen. Like, yeah. I didn't ask you to clean this place up.
You're gonna clean it when you get back.
Yeah, I was like, I'm in a rush. I don't have time to argue with you now as well about it. But like, yeah, that was the audacity moment. And but the thing is, she might have been in some capacity. She's like, this is a thank you. I've cleaned your kitchen for you to say thank you for letting me stay. Phil Hartman this is entirely nefarious.
Oh yeah, it is. And I don't believe for one second he even like spoke to the rest of the family.
No,
he's just like, I've done it.
That's also, he's probably trying to spy on Rita Wilson.
Oh, hell yeah, definitely.
Probably like hoking in the bedroom windows and stuff to see what he can see. And if she should happen to be coming out of a shower, it's like, oh, sorry, Liz, I didn't realize. It's just, he's good. He's good.
He knows what he's doing. He's got a plan. He's a peeping Tom.
Yeah, but I think we did talk about it quite a bit during the return season. But Christmas lights on the outside are such a kind of big thing in America.
Yeah, you don't see it too much here. It's getting a bit more.
Yeah, there's none of this competitiveness. Because I think we talked about during Returns because Danny DeVito was in that movie where it was just like him and Matthew Broderick were in a rivalry about who could have the best Christmas lights. And it's like, over here, just nobody cares. Like, some people do care and will go all out, but they won't like be like, they wouldn't do something like this where it's like, your house didn't have any lights on, so I did it for you because this is the way that the street has to be. You have to have, I think it's in Bad Santa. Like, Billy Bob Thornton's told, like, you're supposed to put this candle out the front and could you put some Christmas lights up because we want to make the neighborhood look nice? I
would deliberately not if someone asked me to.
Oh, that kind of thing would annoy the crap out of me because it's like, it's my house. Yeah. Like, it's part of our neighborhood. It's like, no. It's not a neighborhood. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is not a commune. We're not sharing food. Like, this is my house. You got your house. We just live geographically close. Yeah, that is the only communal thing we're doing here.
It's very modern of us to say that, but I agree. I think that's one good thing about modern society is just leave me alone.
I was going to know you did recently move house, John. Because the place I currently live, I know that Mithila, who I live with, she is friendly with the neighbors. She's very much a people person. Whereas I would be like, why would you ever talk to your neighbor?
Oh, yeah, like, I never, ever do. What's the purpose of it?
Yeah, she made friends with a neighbor, and then Killian, like the little baby roommate, as Sean German would call him, he now knows the neighbor. And so that means when I'm out with Killian, the neighbor will stop to talk to him, and then therefore me by default. And it's like, why has this occurred? This is a nightmare for me.
Oh, that's terrible. No, I don't understand. I mean, if your neighbors happen to be your friends, cool, but don't go out of your way. Just leave each other in peace. Pretend like you live completely on your own on the street.
I was hoping you could turn around in your new scenario, John, and you could be like the Monica Geller across the street, like across the hallway from some guys who become your best friends over time or something.
Or I could have a nudist across the street like they do in Friends for a while.
Well, you mean, you did have a weird thing going on with the neighbor. What was that neighbor you used to live across from? He was always just sitting in the same chair at the same time all day, every day.
Oh, yeah. That was weird. But I didn't know him. I just saw him.
That was the thing. So I remember becoming very fascinated because there was talk that he might actually be dead. Like,
yeah.
As well as like he was in that chair all day, every day. It became a kind of like fascination of, much like in Friends when they had to get fashion the giant poking device.
Yeah. There
was like, should we fashion a giant poking device? Like,
I was going to say, sadly, it turned out he was alive, but that sounds a bit mean.
We don't know his life. He could have been in the Sinbad scenario.
He could have just been heavy into meditation.
True. He could have been like, I've been going for 5 days straight, man. This is great.
But the movie. So, Arnold, he shows his contempt for Ted and heads inside. And his son is absolutely devastated that he missed the karate. So to cheer him up, Arnie sort of tries to get over-involved, like asking loads of questions about the class. How did it go? It's like, no, come on, you're going too far overboard. The kid just needs to sort of process it at the moment. So then, to win favor, Arnold's like playing around with the belt, isn't he? Like, oh, how do you put it on?
Yeah.
And he wraps it around his head. And
he gets it around his waist first. I was quite impressed by it because it's like as a little kid's belt.
It barely fits his waist, though.
I was kind of wondering, though, did they have to get a bigger belt for Arnie? Because the guy's huge, but like, I don't know. I thought that impressed me a little bit.
I think on kids, they're too big, is the thing. And then on Arnie, it just about goes around.
I said, though, as well, like his room is inundated with signs of a fairly well-to-do kid because he's just got so much stuff, And should note on this table there, because I got paused on it now, he does have a Batman clock.
So, yep.
There you go. And it also has, it goes in, there's a Hulk mask on the wall. And because of like Arnie's rivalry with Lou Ferrigno in Pumping Iron, I kind of want to be like, oh, I hate this guy. And just like crumple it up or something. But
I like to think that the set dresser did it as a joke. just to annoy him. There you go. Jingle All the Way 2 should have been Lou Ferrigno.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he was the Phil Hartman part, and then he just got to like screw over Arnie the whole movie.
Oh, that would have been so good. or he could have been the star of the second one, then the third one could have been a joint movie between the two.
Oh, that was the other one I was trying to think of. Kindergarten Cop. There's a Kindergarten Cop, too, that doesn't have Arnie.
Isn't it like Dolph Lundgren?
Yeah, it was when you were talking about Lou Ferrigno should be in it. It's like, oh, because like Dolph Lundgren was in Kindergarten Cop, too. So, yeah, there you go. There is this. Maybe we should make more just to get them out there, because you don't need Arnie to be in these things, apparently.
No, we can just make it. Me and you.
We could do True Lies, too. Why not?
We can crowdfund it.
The 6th Day to the 7th Day.
Eraser 2.
The thing is, some of them, though, you do wonder why there aren't more sequels. Because Eraser's a thing, like, oh, you could make that a whole series. Like, the concept of it's like, that's a character. You don't need Arnie to play that role. Like, you can get anyone in to do that.
Make it a TV show.
Yeah, totally. And Commando as well. It's just like, well, again, Commando's a tough suck because that is so iconically Arnie. But so is Kindergarten Cop.
It could be a prequel about the team and just call it Commandos.
That is one thing I've noted during this rewatch of Cobra Kai. Those flashbacks to Vietnam look so cheap.
But I kind of love that about it because it fits in with Karate Kid. It should look cheap.
Yeah, but it's just so noticeable, the rest of it. And it's just like, they're clearly all in army fatigues. They got at the costume store. Yeah. And these hats cost them like $2 and they're way too clean. And it's like, they're in the back garden in Pasadena somewhere pretending it's the Vietnamese jungle. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like, yeah, I love the show, but this is very noticeably out of your range, I guess.
Oh, well, as we were saying, Arnie wraps the belt around his head, right? This is the bit... Oh, Jesus. This is the bit I mentioned before. So he decides, oh, yes, look at me, I'm a karate guy. And he starts doing stereotypical karate sounds, going like, whoa! But not only that. How do I word this? He pulls a face.
Yes.
To look a bit Asian. It's unfortunate, but it is kind of what someone his generation would think is fine.
Yeah, because back in the 90s, everything was fine with everybody all the time. So
no problems at all happening in the 90s. No.
Some way too. Like, I don't know if it was a big thing just in my school, but you'd always have those things of like who would win in a fight. And
all the time, yeah.
And Arnie and Bruce Lee was a frequent one that was brought up.
Yep.
Because Arnie's got the muscle, but Bruce Lee's got like the agility and stuff. And so when I see this, I always think of like, was that like a thing that Arnie knew about? And this is like him kind of having a little knock at Bruce Lee or something? Because he's kind of doing the Bruce Lee kind of thing. Well, it's just, stereotypical martial artist stuff, I guess. But in my head, because I was so synonymous when I was a kid, it's like, oh yeah, Arnie is like Arnie versus Bruce Lee. That's the eternal question.
That'd be so cool. It's like, yes, you know what? I've heard that these kids over in England and Ireland, they're always arguing about me fighting pros.
That would be a thing, though. If I met Arnie, I'd be like, you got one question. I'd be like, all right, man, theoretically, say back in when did Bruce Lee die? Was it in the 80s or?
Oh, God, you think I would know that?
I don't think he makes it past the 70s, Bruce
No, I
Lee.
think it might be late 70s, right?
Yeah. But you say, like, oh, so mid-70s, Arnie versus Bruce. Like, who would win? Arnie these days, actually, I don't know, because he does have a big ego about him, too. I think, wow, of course, I would probably just sit on him and I'd wipe him out.
Puny.
Maybe this is the movie we need to make. It's an Arnie. It's the 6th Day sequel where they've cloned Bruce Lee and Arnie, and we finally get to have that fight.
Oh my God! The villains have cloned Bruce Lee as the ultimate assassin.
And we had a problem when Quentin Tarantino did it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but when we do it, it's totally fine to have Arnie beat Bruce Lee.
Well, I didn't have a problem with that. Some people did.
I very much did. It was so. There's not so much the context of the movie. It was knowing Quentin Tarantino and his like, oh, of course my guy could beat Bruce Lee.
Yeah, but it feels like those playground arguments. Which okay, he's a grown man, but it kind of took me back to being a kid. So I didn't mind that.
Should we throw that out to the listeners' cave, like as a poll? Who would win, Arnie or Bruce Lee?
Vote now.
I do think that everybody would go Bruce Lee because Bruce Lee's a trained fighter.
Yeah, Bruce Lee could actually fight. Bruce Lee basically created mixed martial arts.
Yeah. And Arnie was a showman. Like, he looked incredible and definitely had strength because he could lift those weights. But, like, I don't know if the guy could actually handle himself.
Yeah, I wonder, did he have any real fight training? Maybe he did. I don't know.
I don't know. I remember people saying in the back in the day too that Jean-Claude Van Damme couldn't fight because it was all show muscles and stuff. I was like,
Van Damme, look at him.
He's got the moves though, Jean-Claude.
Yeah.
Arnie's never had that. He just looks intimidating.
Yeah, he doesn't do martial arts. Arnold just might punch someone. That's about it.
Yeah, he's just got a big helicopter gun.
For a muscly guy, it's weird.
Yeah, he's just exceptionally big guns that only a muscular man could hold. I guess is the pitch, but. Yeah, I've never been in even T2 and stuff. Some of the fist fights are all very they're just sort of normal fisticuffs. There's there's no Van Damme splits, none of that going on. So
now I want to see Arnold do the splits.
Thing is, now I can imagine he would try to do it nowadays, and he'd probably kill himself. But he'd be like, "No, I'm doing it anyway." He is the guy, like I said, he had a heart attack, and then he was just a day later back on the treadmill, and the doctor's going, "For the love of God, Arnie, stop working out, please." But no, this is a question I did have though. In speaking about Arnie's girth and the fact that they do acknowledge that he does bench press. So this guy had no time for his family, but he clearly must work out like an hour every day at least, at the very least.
That's an excellent point.
He is in his prime, Arnie. If he was at work on one of those exercise balls or something, and he was constantly, when he's on the phone, he's constantly lifting weights and stuff, maybe.
That would be quite funny, actually. Yeah, he's constantly just doing bicep curls.
It feels like that's the only explanation for it, though, because otherwise this guy's like, I have no time for my family, but I get at least 3 hours a day in the gym.
This is why it's written for an everyman.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. I love that it doesn't make sense. It's fantastic. But it doesn't make sense.
I don't know, maybe, everything about that line, too, you can't bench press your way out of this one. Was there resentment between maybe Rita Wilson has said to Ted a few times, oh yeah, he's always working out. All he cares about, all he cares about is the office and the gym. That's all he doesn't care about us. And then so he's using that as a barb in that way. Or maybe Arnie, the only reason Rita Wilson sticks around is but the bench presses he can do.
Well, that I don't care that I'm skipping to the end here, right? There's a bit at the end that baffles the living hell out of me, and it's to do with Arnie's body.
Oh, I think the bit where she's like, "Oh, Howard."
Yeah, she sees him in the Turbo Man suit. Spoiler alert: he has to dress as Turbo Man. And she's like, "Oh, Howard," because of the molded plastic muscles. And I'm just sat here thinking, Arnold looks like this anyway.
She goes all Chase Meridian for a second there.
Yeah, but Arnold is a mountain of a man. It doesn't make sense.
Unless he's like, all he only ever wears really baggy clothes and like thick tweed jackets and stuff, where he's not showing off the goods. But like,
yeah, maybe he's one of those people who's like, yes, we will make love, but I am not undressing.
The light has to go off. Yeah, it is bizarre. Yeah, it was very much written for, and then not adapted by in any way beyond that bench press line to be like, oh, this is supposed to be like, Steve Guttenberg could play this guy or something.
Or more modern. Well, not now because he's cancelled for good reason. But say if it was about 8 years ago or something, you could have had Louis C.K.
Oh yeah, totally.
Someone like that, just like a little schlubby, just a guy,
Yeah. But it's just like Arnie then gets his mitts on it, then it becomes like another entity, basically, because he's now attached.
For the better.
Oh man, that's the thing. Would this have been any way a Christmas classic, whether it was on TV or not every year? Like if Arnie wasn't the star?
No. I only ever watched it for him.
Yeah, if this was like Steve Guttenberg playing this part. Or friggin',
the
Jason
Stonecutters
Alexander
would have made it a success with that one.
Totally. Like, of course, yeah, the Stonecutters would have had their way. Yeah. So, let's say Jason Alexander plays this part. Yeah, it could have been on, but then, I can imagine a little bit like it'd be on TV for a couple of years, nobody would watch it, and it would fall off the face of the earth. But it has the star wattage of Arnold Schwarzenegger from the 90s, and it's like, yep, so now that's got an iron grip on the even on. I flipped ahead on the Christmas TV, to see what's on TV this Christmas. On the channel guide, Christmas Day on Film 4, Kindergarten Cop.
Hey,
that's the big family movie they're showing. It's like, oh my god, it's so old now, but like, hey, families will still sit down and watch it because it's Kindergarten Cop.
That's how good it is.
Yeah.
It's a genuinely good movie though, like. Classic.
Oh yeah. Oh, I can't argue with that one. Yeah, totally. We should do a review of that sometime, actually, to be fair. But
hell yeah.
We should go through like the Arnie films that then have a sequel that he's not in, and like do a compare and contrast. So Christmas next year we'll do Larry the Cable Guy, Jingle all the way.
I'm genuinely up for that because I want to hate it, but I can't because I haven't seen it. So I need to see it to hate it.
Because you're begrudging, like, that turns out that Larry the Cable Guy was actually perfectly cast in that role. Like,
well, I mean, he fits the mold more than Arnold, from what we're saying.
Although Howard is very clearly like upper middle class. Larry the Cable Guy seems like he would be more the Sinbad role in theory, really, doesn't he? But...
yeah, but it's if you retool it a little bit, as you said, that guy's more sympathetic. So make him the hero. Boom. There you go. He's more relatable.
It is kind of that whole thing of like the people are curious to hear. Me and John recently appeared on the Next Scene podcast talking about Home Alone 2 and then about Home Sweet Home Alone, the new one. And we had a whole big thing about like, the McAllisters wouldn't appear sympathetic now because they're too rich. So you have to make simultaneously the villains and the heroes of the movie are the kind of struggling, trying to keep things together family. Because they're the one that everyone will gravitate towards more than, the affluent rich people that peppered movies throughout. Like, I mean, geez, like the one I always bring up is Father of the Bride, where it's just like, oh my god, they've got so much money, like, but they're treating this as like, no, this is everybody. It's like that's not everybody.
Yeah,
like,
that's the thing that annoys me. It plays it as if this is normal life.
Yeah. And there's a thing actually they bring up too frequently because there's so many movies where it's like about a negligent dad has to make it up to his kid. Like there's a whole genre of that basically. And I think it might have been Alex Robinson talked about it in Star Wars Minutes at one point, where it was like, that's because they're all produced by Hollywood execs who are well-to-do and they don't have time for their kids. And then they feel a bit guilty about it. So they make these movies to kind of acknowledge that that's what they're doing.
And it kind of makes their kid them, it sort of is a message to their kid, like, you should really love your dad.
Yeah. It's like, look how much I would go through for you, but I don't because I got Arnold Schwarzenegger to do it instead.
But I thought about doing it.
Yeah, but their mental image will be like, well, everyone lives in these giant houses, right? It's like, no, nobody lives in these giant houses unless you're bringing down like 150,000 a year or something.
Well, that's another thing. Like, I love the way I'm not even past my first page of notes here. I've got 6 pages. Arnold, what's his job in this? Is he selling... What's he selling? Beds?
I have no idea. It never even occurred to me to look into what he's actually selling, because he's just such it's a nondescript, like, 90s job.
He's a salesman of some description, but not a salesman, because he's clearly the boss of whatever the business is. I don't know if it's his own business, but he's high up, shall we say?
Yeah, he has a secretary. We know that much. Yeah, and he seems to be busy enough that he's there on Christmas Eve hustling.
Yeah, he's negotiating like deals, isn't he? He's not just like selling to individual customers. He's like coordinating sort of bulk purchases by other businesses or something.
Yeah. It's almost like a condemnation of the company that we be keeping him there late on Christmas Eve, unless it is his company, and he's like, this is what I want to be doing.
Well, actually, yeah, like that brings up, because to make it up to his kid, he says he's going to buy Turbo Man, the action figure of Turbo Man for Christmas. Turns out he was already supposed to have bought one. The wife mentions, and he's like, oh, crap, I forgot all about that. But then, of course, he needs to go out and get one. So he's sneaking out on Christmas Eve. But his wife is
we're only now getting to what the actual plot of the movie is.
But so his cover is, I'm going to the office. But she's astonished. Why would you go to the office on Christmas Eve? And I'm confused. I have worked every Christmas Eve of my life, so I don't understand this. I'm baffled.
Oh no, yeah. I think most people, particularly in America, because they don't really do because they have Thanksgiving. They kind of have that as a big holiday. Then Christmas is like, oh yeah, you have Christmas, and maybe a couple of days off. But like it's more like it's just the one day over there.
Yeah, I did find it a bit odd. Like, why would you go to the office on Christmas Eve? To work?
I was more baffled by Arnie's cover. Maybe it's an indication that he just doesn't know his kid, because we saw that kid reading a comic. And then he says, like, I'm going to collect the DOLL.
Yeah.
As if the kid doesn't know how to spell doll.
It's so stupid. I love it.
It's like, he doesn't know how to read yet, right? It's like, he's 10. He knows how to read, you asshole.
I do adore that twist, though, of like, oh, yeah, you got that doll, right? The one he just agreed to go and get. And he thinks he can just go and buy it casually on Christmas Eve. When I worked in a shop, in Game, the video game shop, genuinely people would come and try and buy the hottest new thing on Christmas Eve.
Oh,
and you're like, and they'd get annoyed that you didn't have it. It's like, what is wrong with you? No, we don't have Pokemon on Christmas Eve. Go away.
There's some part of me wants to go, like, doesn't Rita Wilson, I should call her just Liz because her character name is Liz. Like, wouldn't she not be aware of his nature? Because this clearly can't be an isolated incident that this guy's in the office all the time.
Because she wouldn't get as annoyed as she does throughout this movie if it was like a new occurrence. Yeah.
There is part of me wants to go like, well, maybe she should have taken over getting the big important Christmas present, because like she knows how bad this guy and how negligent towards his family affairs he is.
Well,
but at the same time, there could well have been a period like 3 months ago where he was insistent that he was going to do it. And it's like, you'll never trust me with anything. It's like, you can't be trusted. And then, no, I'll definitely do it. I promise you. And he's like, okay. I am like she probably even emphasized him. I am putting 100% of my trust in you. You have to do this. And he just didn't.
That's exactly how I picture it. And, she should be able to trust him with it. It's not that hard. It's not like doing something really difficult and elaborate and over the top. It's just make sure you get the toy your kid wants, for God's sake.
Knowing the guy he's a PA, he's a secretary.
Yeah, send her to get it.
It could be literally just like going in and been like the day she mentioned we need to get the toy for the kid, he'd be like, oh yeah, could you pick up that doll for my son? And, yeah, okay. Put that on her. I'm sure she'd go and do it straight away. But that would have been a much harsher movie as well, though, where he's like, oh my God, he's just on the phone the next morning. You have to go back go get me a Turbo Man.
That'd be amazing. Or he could blame the PA to the wife. Like, I sent my PA to get it. She must have forgotten.
Oh, that's actually perfect. Like, oh, you know how bad she is. She's messing up things for me all the time.
As soon as Christmas is over, I'm firing her. Oh, God. Where are we now, Olive? We just got all over.
He's just leaving to go get Turbo Man.
He's just leaving to go get Turbo Man. That's it. So, there's one other bit as well that I'd love when he heads out, because he meets Ted when he's heading outside. Ted has a reindeer.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, you can just get hold of these.
around Christmas as well.
Around
you think
Christmas.
of anyone?
And I thought he'd rented it. No, he's purchased it.
I don't think I picked up on that. He actually bought a reindeer.
He must have done, because he says he's going to go and set it free.
Oh.
That's what.
This is some sort of animal rights thing he's doing. It's like, yes, I'm freeing him from the shackles of his rental agency.
Because I remember this bit vividly, because they mentioned something that's in our hearts. Because he's going to, once Christmas is over, he's going to release the reindeer around the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
There it is.
I didn't even know it was a real lake.
I'm not. You never know. It could have been a Phil Hartman improv, and he's just a Purple Rain fan.
It's true. It could be one of those things like that's just in movies. You know, like the fake phone numbers.
Yeah, it was like the John Landis "See You Next Wednesday" movie that pops up in all his movies.
Yeah.
It's like, we're in Lake Minnetonka there somewhere.
That's amazing. I'd love that. And,
it would be great though if he like the reindeer jumps into the water and he's just like, that ain't Lake Minnetonka, and just speeds off and leaves a drowning reindeer.
Oh yeah, the reindeer that, as we're going to establish later on, can scream and things.
This reindeer does have another good callback too, but we'll get to that when we get to it.
I think I know what you're going to say.
Iconic Arnie moment, kind of referenced in that.
Phil Hartman as well. I adore what he does here, because he's so passive aggressive. Because, Arnie says he's going to get Turbo Man. He's like, oh, I got a Turbo Man for Jamie months ago. It's like, oh, you little jerk.
He is a bit like, as much as I kind of want Arnie to have played this part, Phil Hartman is perfect in that regard, in that he is the most hateful piece of crap. And you could totally understand why like, if I lived next to this guy, I would consider moving.
Yes. He's so... Everything he says and does, you can see through. It's so false. And Arnold does see through it. That's what I love. He's like, oh, this guy's just a sleaze. He's just fake.
It's probably because Arnie knows this guy's divorced. He's only doing this to impress the kid now because of the divorce. Had this been 3 years ago, he would be in the same position I am. Because he probably got divorced because he was negligent towards his family.
Plot twist. They got divorced because Arnold slept with his wife.
That would have been the extended cut we all wanted to see.
And it's like something that, what's her name? Liz. Howard and Liz, they don't talk about it anymore. It's in the past, but Ted hasn't got over it.
That's like it dates back to Phil Hartman used to be a bodybuilder back in the 70s until he was in a documentary with Howard and he beat him.
Yeah, and it's all to get back at him. I'm going to cuckold you so bad.
It would be great if this was actually a low-key sequel to Pumping Iron. If Phil Hartman was Lou Ferrigno the whole time.
He transforms into Lou Ferrigno at the end when they have a fist fight.
That's, yeah. And that Hulk mask is supposed to be the hint.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, we've written a better movie.
He hides a camera inside that Hulk mask so he can see what's going on inside the house.
Oh, my God.
This is like all Marvel paraphernalia strewn throughout the house in very key areas and stuff.
This needs to be created. What's Hollywood doing with all these terrible remakes? Get this made. Losers.
No.
But when he does head out, of course, we meet Sinbad for the first time, who I said not really a thing over here, but I felt for I just going to call him Arnie. I'm not going to call him Howard. I felt for Arnie because I always get talking to the weirdo like this. When I'm waiting in line for something, he's waiting to get into the shop and that. I always get some freaky idiot just constantly talking to me and hanging around, sometimes following me. Just
asking you to start a podcast with them, and then you get roped into talk about Batman for 4 years.
I didn't even like Batman. It's terrible.
Yeah, Arnie's broken the number one rule in my book: always have headphones.
Yeah,
so you stand there with headphones on. They might attempt to begin this conversation, but you just have to ignore it and then be like, "Oh, he's got headphones on." I guess.
Yeah, I love doing that. Right, and let me just say, if you're one of those people, I have noise cancelling earphones, and I can almost definitely hear you anyway. That's how annoying you are. But I'm going to pretend I can't.
There's times I've forgotten my phone, but I've got my headphones in my pocket.
And you put them in, same.
Yeah, just to give the illusion that, like, oh, just in case anyone tries to interact with me in any way.
Exactly. Since headphones and stuff have been around, Oh my God, they're so good. They're genius. And especially because I wear big, over the ear noise cancelling ones. So it's very visible that I am.
And that's the only reason you have those particular headphones. It's like, oh, you can get like little earbuds, but like, no. They have to make it very blatant.
It's one reason. Yeah. Because this would happen to me.
But I have to say, I don't mind Sinbad in this. Like, beyond the sympathy I feel for him, I think he's pretty good. Like, I have no real beef with his performance in any way. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm on board for everything he's doing, really.
Is he good, though?
I legitimately have no problem with him. I can't really think of anything that bugs me about what he's doing.
It's too silly. I know it's a silly movie, but
Joe, this was in the era of like Ace Ventura and stuff. Like, this was like, compared to a guy we had to talk about for like 120 episodes last year, this is like, Hamlet he's doing here, like in terms of creating a low key character.
No, Jim Carrey might have pulled it off.
That would have. Maybe that would have been the movie. Though you would have been a Christmas classic. Jim Carrey as Howard, Schwarzenegger as Phil Hartman.
That could work, but then I don't know. Howard has to be likable, right? I don't. Jim Carrey's cool, but he's not like relatable. He's a weird
Jim Carrey
guy.
did kind of do this movie though with Liar Liar. Because that's the same thing of like, oh, I missed the kid's birthday party or whatever.
She's really similar. I've never thought about that.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were saying earlier. It's like, there was a wave of these movies where greenlit by Hollywood execs who didn't care about their families. And we're like, I feel really guilty that I missed my son's baseball game, so I'll make a movie to show that, like, look, I care.
I tried.
And like, oh, man. Liar, Liar. Oh, wait, no, there are Jim Carrey movies where there's sequels where Jim Carrey's not in them. Because there was that Dumb and Dumber prequel and the Ace Ventura movie with the kid.
Bruce Almighty's got a sequel?
Oh, yeah. Maybe. Oh, we should have thought. Maybe we'll just keep that ongoing. After the Arnie season, we'll do Jim Carrey movies.
Why not?
And then, see who else we can scare up then.
Then we could do Michael Keaton movies without him. We could talk about Batman Forever again.
Oh, well, there you go. That might be the only one, though. But unless there is a Jack Frost 2, but it's not a sequel to That's Jack Frost.
The horror one.
Yeah, there's a sequel to Jack Frost, the horror version.
One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but it's not a sequel to Jack Frost, the Michael Keaton Christmas classic. That one, actually, I will say, that's kind of what I was talking about. That I wouldn't say. I was saying that jokingly. I wouldn't call Jack Frost a Christmas classic because no one cares about it. It did have the star watch of Michael Keaton, but he ain't Schwarzenegger. And so, therefore, this is why people watch Jingle all the way, but they didn't care about Jack Frost.
No, 100% right. Yep. Where are we now? Oh, yeah, they're at the shop. I also, when they open the doors, there's a stampede to get in. I don't know why anybody thinks they're going to mess with Arnold Schwarzenegger. But okay. But this overacting from the shop workers, I hate them as well. I want to punch them in the face. And I know you're probably supposed to, but I think these are terrible actors.
Well, that main one.
I think I know who he is.
Yeah, it's Chris Parnell.
Yeah, I hate him.
Yeah, he's the voice of Jerry in Rick and Morty.
I've never liked Chris Parnell.
Yeah. He is a very hateful character in this, though. Just the laugh and the mocking. And it's kind of like Arnie's got a perfectly good comeback too. It was like, I don't know about this toy because I'm a high flying executive who doesn't care about this crap, and you're like down doing this. So like, if he was to say that, like, that'd be an asshole move on Arnie's part, to be fair. But it also would be like, don't mock me, man. Like, I'm making more money than you'll ever dream of, kind of thing.
It is weird. Like, why would the shop workers be mocking him? It's bizarre.
Well, this is their way of getting over the trauma of having the Turbo Man craze, because they've probably had been bombarded with it for months on end, and they're just like, we gotta laugh to hide the tears. Every time someone mentions Turbo Man, I remember getting trampled by a load of random parents. So.
It could be that. It could be it's the little bit of power and control they've got. But as we know, if there's any opportunities for human beings to be jerks, they're going to take it.
Yeah. It's a very movie thing to do as well, where people in cities are all assholes. Like, everyone you bump into will step on your neck to to get anything. Like nobody cares about each other until like the end or something.
And then they all learn the error of their ways.
Yeah.
Something that really baffled me as well is they reveal who bought the last doll eventually because Arnold threatens them. So like, oh yeah, they've got it. So both him and Sinbad run off, to catch her, to try and buy it off her. So Arnie stops Sinbad by using a kid's remote control car to trip him up. Okay, cool in principle, but why is the car out in the shop?
Well, I think it's the example model, I guess.
I've never encountered a shop that, even if it has an example model, just lets you drive it around the place.
I could understand I also have never seen that in real life, but I could understand the principle of like kids want to know if it works and if they like it. So we have an example one out and people can pick up the controller.
A staff member with the child?
I think it would probably have to be. It would be one of those ones maybe that like they wouldn't just leave it lying out here. So it's like keeping you in order through fear. But like there must be a camera or something. Like you can't just swipe this. But
it's the Panopticon, if you know about that.
Yeah, totally. But it's this is again now getting into 90s family movie fare though, where it has to be like it's the post Home Alone thing.
Yeah,
like, there has to be zany antics now.
Whoop. It's like slipping on a banana peel, but for the modern day.
Like I caught flipping around channels earlier. I caught a bit of Beethoven, the dog movie, and it was a bit where David Duchovny is the bad guy.
Oh yeah,
and the wife from Everybody Loves Raymond, and at one point the dog's leash is attached to the table and it runs away and it takes them with it, and it's like stunt people posing as them like flying down the road as this dog drags them, and it's got a really and it's like, this is so 90s. Like this doesn't happen anymore. Where you go this zany with this kind of crap.
Sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't.
I think I always hated it. Like I think I liked it in Home Alone, because that kind of was the masterwork of like this is what everyone's trying to emulate, and I think every other time it's trying too hard. Like,
yeah. Plus Home Alone, I think it comes across aggressive and violent. Weirdly, you know what I mean? Like it feels dangerous. The first one.
Oh yeah, well I think even this friggin' Marv gets a brick to the face. Like, that's the first blow, and the second one's like, whoa, that is rough.
And it leaves a print on his face for the rest of the film.
Yeah, I think actually it might be more violent in the second one. To be fair, I think it gets even worse. But
it does get more violent in some ways, but then it's also downplayed by it being more silly.
Yeah,
so it kind of balances.
But even get into things like the Mighty Ducks movies. Always had to have some montage, like some bit where they'd pull a prank on someone, and it'd be all running around, and people would get covered in goop. This kind of crap. It's like it's always a bit like it feels like people are like, oh, kids like this, and then there was me as a child, but like I hate this. but then maybe I was just a very misanthropic child. I don't know.
You probably were, but I also don't for one second believe they actually consulted with children about what they liked.
The kids would like what I tell them to like.
Exactly, Homer. Exactly.
Is this the scene that has that?
No, that's with the ball, isn't it?
Oh,
which is coming.
That's music featured in every children's movie of the 90s, also. And I think it might have come from Home Alone as well, where they're like, oh, I don't know if it was composed by John Williams. I'm assuming not. It might be from like the Nutcracker Suite or something like that.
What is it from, actually? Because you're right, it's in a lot of films.
And if it wasn't in the film, it would have been in the trailer. Mm-hmm. Like, it moved. I think even like the Muppets Christmas Carol had that.
Oh, that doesn't fit that. That's weird.
I think it was just supposed to be like family fare. Like,
but as we've established with the memes, yet again this year, Michael Caine is playing it as serious as a car crash.
This is no family affair. This is life and bloody death.
That's what makes that movie work, though, is that he is just acting it straight. It's as if there's no Muppets in the film.
Yeah. Oh no, he is the glue that holds that movie together. Like, it's great anyway, but like Michael Caine is like, it's a real career high for him, to be fair.
Who would have thought?
When he dies, I can imagine there's going to be like Michael Caine. He was Alfred and Alfie, maybe to some people. Yeah. Get Carter, Muppets Christmas Carol kind of towering all above.
That'll be the headline. Star of Muppets Christmas Carol has unfortunately passed away.
I think most people will be like, they weren't around the 60s, so they don't know all the old the swinging hipster Michael Caine, but they sure as hell know Muppets Christmas Carol, so... Yeah, that's what keeps him going. That will have secured that guy's legacy for like 50 years after his death, potentially.
Yeah. And I'm all for it. Now put him in this movie as well. Let's get him in. But
I would have totally loved to have seen him play any role in this. Like he's playing Sinbad's part.
Oh my God, yes.
All I wanted was a Johnny Gunn A07, which was like 7 guns in.
Oh my God, yes. Deep fakers, get on it. I always call out this, and then I don't know anyone who does deep fakes, so no.
I think we just need to learn, John.
I don't think it's that simple. I think it's pretty hard.
I think we're coming up to a hiatus period. We'll have nothing but time.
Practice. So. Yeah. If you give us enough Patreon money, we'll buy the software. Whatever the software is, I don't know. Probably costs $10,000 or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very, very expensive.
We'll pirate it. It's fine. So he follows after this woman who's got the last doll. Oh my God, she's got the last one. I mean, I'm going to let you bring up the actress, but he offers her 3 times the money for the Turbo Man. I mean, she was hoping to bang him instead, but this'll do.
Well, that's the thing. This is one of the new scenes. This is part of the extended cut, which was like, because so far I was like, I don't see what's so exciting. And then this was like, holy moly, because it's Yardley Smith.
Yeah.
It's the voice of Lisa Simpson.
And it's very obvious.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, imagine if you bumped into her in a grocery store and she started talking, you'd be like, you sound exactly like Lisa Simpson. Because I don't think she's putting on a voice at any point in her life. She just sounds like that. And every time you ever see her outside of like these things, there's always something weirdly sexual going on with her characters. Like
maybe it's because, like, in her day-to-day job, The Simpsons, she can't be.
Yeah, so I remember the Legend of Billie Jean. I think was her first movie because I remember seeing that. That's the kind of camp classic in its own regard. I remember at one point during a big action sequence, she starts getting her period for the first time, and it's a big weird moment where you're like, I don't know, thinking about Lisa Simpson getting her period, but okay. And then this one, she is throwing herself at Arnie, which is, I kind of get. But I think maybe she just hasn't met Phil Hartman. Like, if she knew she's seen this wad of beef here, but if she knew about the prime steak, who's already got a Turbo Man nesting safely under the tree.
Oh no! Come on, she's a muscle queen, shall we say? She wants the beef. She really wants to bang Arnold. It's very explicit.
This almost feels though, because we've had in, of course, Batman and Robin saying that, like, everyone seems to want to bang Arnie in that movie too. Well, as if it was a contractual thing.
Well, that's so the maybe answer to your question you ask everyone now. Do you find Arnold sexy? Yes, everybody does.
Well, maybe we should tweet Yardley Smith. Were you acting in this, or was this all genuine?
That's why it was cut. This wasn't part of the script. They just bumped into her on the street.
I can imagine Arnie insisted this scene be in the movie because I can't. People think Phil Hartman's more attractive than me. Yeah. And then they quietly cut it when he didn't realize.
That's probably it. It's like, why is he getting all the women? Well, you're married. Yes, it doesn't matter.
But he's getting my wife as well. It's like, no, he shouldn't. Oh, but he could. I don't like the insinuation.
It's like, we'll film it, but don't tell him we're not putting it in.
But yeah, because it is it's an edited out scene, and then it does cut to, you find out she had the wrong doll. I think she has a boost, the much maligned booster.
Yeah, everyone hates Booster. It's like Scrappy Doo.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe that's what they're going for. It's like, oh yeah, the sidekick that nobody likes, Scrappy Doo. In modern parlance, them constantly saying, I don't want a booster, is kind of like, well, 2021, that has a very different meaning. But
oh my God, I didn't even think of it through that lens. Oh, crap. Yeah. No,
Jingle all the way, saw it coming.
You do want a booster.
Yes.
Get your booster.
This should be the craze of Christmas 2021, is everybody wants a booster.
That's the new version. He's trying to source a booster COVID vaccination for his child.
Ah, there you go. And you can still work in Rita Wilson now as well.
That'd be amazing.
This is like, Arnie, we've only got 4 more days to make it, but we could have the hit of Christmas, and we throw this thing together in the next week.
Easy. We could knock a script out overnight.
It's just the scripts, but we've just changed everything to Turbo Man to Booster.
Hey, it hasn't stopped most Hollywood movies these days. Just recreate the first one, change a few things, put some fan service in. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, well, Jason Reitman made like how many millions out of this year? So. Oh man, feel bad. Like not to get into a whole thing, but the first 3/4 of Ghostbusters Afterlife, loved. And then the last bit was just like, this is the laziest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I agree it's lazy, but I still had fun. It's a bit like The Force Awakens. It's like it's lazy, but it's fun. Yeah.
But the guy who's not been lazy, though, is, of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who then finds out that the Turbo Man was actually in the back of another woman's car, and she's precariously placed it in a very obvious position.
So he can see.
And he goes booting after the car. And sadly, it is not to be.
He should have ran after it like the T-1000.
Yeah. Oh, actually, that would have been really good as well. Yeah. He's like grabbing on and just like just turns the corner and goes spinning off and stuff.
Oh, that would have been great. He can grab on with 2 golf clubs.
Yeah, a la Homer himself.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, you kind of wonder her story, because she clearly got a Turbo Man on Christmas Eve. And why would she think, like, well, she must have been in a desperate situation like Arnie is as well.
No, she, if you remember, the shopkeeper said, it's an American thing. She had it on layaway, which I think, listeners, if I'm wrong, let me know. I think that's kind of like you've reserved it. So you make you make your payments and then you pick it up. So it's there for you. It's ready. So you just come and get it when you want to pay.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. That also makes it seem, though, like, oh, she couldn't pay you up front, so she's also, like, not as rich as Arnie. So it's kind of like,
who is?
You would take it out of a poor woman. She put, months saving up to get that, to pay off that Turbo Man. And then you just want to waft in with your wad of cash, Arnie. And fix everything, fix all your neglect with money, why don't you?
That's what the rich think they can do.
Yeah, I mean, there is some kind of commentary in this movie, kind of. So
it's a biting social satire.
But not biting enough. There's one scene that, actually, we've already alluded to it, like the scene with the balls later on. Oh, yeah. And they throw those balls up in there, and everyone's clawing at each other, desperate to get it.
Well, I have a question there. I have to stop you because it's about that. Now, it seems to imply that they in the panic and the rush, the balls get knocked out of their hand, but they clearly just throw them, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Why would they do that?
I don't know, just looks better on screen, or it just wasn't put together very well, I guess would be.
Yeah, the bounciest balls ever created by man.
But then over it, they're playing it. It's the most wonderful time of the. That feels like that's the one kernel of the original idea, where it'll be like, yeah, it's a biting social satire about consumerism and how desperate people are to get crap at Christmas when that's not actually the meaning of the holidays.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's the one bit of it that's ringing really clear and true, and it's as dark as Gremlins, like, in terms of Christmas movies. So, and then, like, after that scene, it kind of dies down again. Like, the end of it, the end of this movie is so toothless. It just feels very much like it just missed the entire point of what it was originally intended to be to me. But
in the funniest way.
I think I've got a lot of beef with that climax.
To be honest, that's the worst bit of the film.
Yeah, that's the movie kind of becomes that feels very like this was not originally part of the script at all.
Yeah, yeah.
It feels then we got Arnie, so he needs to do action stuff. So we've rewritten the entire ending, basically.
And it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, not one bit, no.
And so ends part 1 of our very, very special Christmas treat to you, the Bat Minute listeners. This is our super amazingly long, extended Christmas special, so do join us again tomorrow, where you will unwrap another present. Can you guess what it is? It's part 2! Can you believe it? Yes. So do join us again tomorrow. Part 2 is on the way, and I hope you enjoy. Thank you very, very much. I am not a pervert!
Sneak up behind get away.